Justin Jones sat next to me, and I was on the panel, and I asked a question in the room, represented about whether the Democrats were there, the Congressional Black Caucus. They said they're ready. And I said, but are you prepared? Do you have the tools that's necessary in order to bring in people in November of 26, in November of 28? Meaning, the Democrats, I said to them specifically, I believe the energy in the Democratic Party is on the progressive side. And are you going to open the door up to that, and also maybe some, Democratic Socialists, folks there in the platform, whatever. And I'm not sure that I got the answer, not that I wanted, but I'm not sure the people in the room, especially young folks, got the answer. And they said as much. Do you think that the Democratic Party is ready right now for the challenge at 26 and 28?
The Democratic Party has to ensure that it has a big enough tent for everybody. As I remind people, Joe Manchin was a Democrat, even though he voted Republican overwhelmingly, held the Democratic Party hostage. And if there's room for Joe Manchin, there had to be room for everybody in the tent of the Democratic Party that we are building. But the truth of the matter is this: the energy that people are responding to is really boldness and leadership. Not leadership that takes corporate PAC money, not leadership that takes APAC money, not leadership that just wants to go along and get along, but is truly advocating for transformational change in our country. Because honestly, if we can be honest here, the Democratic establishment and the Republican establishment sometimes look too similar. When you look at how much money they make trading stocks, they look too similar. When you look at who's funding their campaigns, it looks too similar. And I think what people actually want are pragmatic, principled, progressive ideals that we can advocate for and fight for that ultimately lifts everybody up, which is why we even got some Republicans who said they're supporting our campaign because of the fight that we're taking on against data centers and XAI, which is built by
Really?
Absolutely. Because they don't want to lose their farmland. They don't want to lose the water in their aquifers for billionaires to make another dollar. That's the kind of issue that the party should be leading on, not waiting to see. Someone told me once, you're going to be the wind over the weather thing. And it's time for our party to be the wind that moves our country in a direction that lifts all of its people, especially the more marginalized, disenfranchised communities, both white, black, Native American, Hispanic, in our state and in our country.
Well, look, you have been really outspoken and bold about that. So have other candidates who are on the more progressive side, progressives, and some TSA folks have been really bold and unafraid of saying that to not only to our leaders in Washington, meaning the Trump administration, but to Democratic leaders as well. Do you think that's getting through to them?
I believe so. I watched yesterday, read an article that said, listen, by taking stronger stances as it relates to fighting for a fair economy, we feel that 6% of the vote in the Democratic primary. It's because people actually do know that the system is rigged and against us. It's rigged for billionaires and for corporations, and we have to be the ones to call that out, which means we cannot simultaneously be the ones who accept corporate PAC checks. We cannot simultaneously be the ones who accept money from SpaceX AI, like Republican and stuff. We have to be the party and the party of the people and for the people. We have to be the party of the farmer and the pharmacists, of the teachers and the school bus drivers, of the nurses and the doctors and the dentists, right? We have to be the party of folks who are working and who make this country to run. That is our responsibility and our opportunity. Because what the Republican Party is offering is nothing for hate, for cultural wars, for immunity, for harm and more trauma in our communities, like ICE, raids, like we say that Memphis 4 black men have been killed by the Trump administration and their task force. That's what they are offering to us, and we have to continue to offer a new vision. And honestly, we have to fight for it. Sometimes within our own party, certainly against folks who don't want us to call out the billionaire class, but it is our responsibility to chart a new path for our country, a new path for our party, and that's going to take all of us getting together and say, listen, we've got a vision. They gave us their vision, right? And now we've got a new vision that lifts up everybody.
Let me do what my mom would do. Let me ask you this. Representative. There was a young man who was at the conference and he asked about Israel. And there experience, because you're in this game, I'm not a politician. Israel has become toxic among many folks in America. And I think it's going to play out in November. What's going on and why now folks in the Democratic Party are eager, and especially folks like you that are willing to speak up and speak when you was your truth. So I think it's something that's really say Israel, the entire conversation has been extraordinary by folks like TORY, and others who are much less popular to call out AIPAC, much less popular to call out for the Israeli government is doing Palestinian genocide, who are willing to stand up and willing to sacrifice both of the congressional seat or the congressional seat because they were willing to call out the genocide against Palestinians for what it was. And now it has become much more common because obviously I think when you know better, you do better. And we, as a country, have allowed the Israeli government blockage AIPAC to do stuff that's okay for our tax dollars and our service members to lose their lives on behalf of a foreign country who is committing genocide against an entire entity of people, the Palestinian people. And we're supporting an apartheid regime within the nation of Israel. There are certain streets in that country where if you're Palestinian, to the sundown towns, similar to the historicity of black people, we had to walk off the sidewalk. A person would be on that same sidewalk that is happening right now in the context of the Israeli government. So I think we don't want to the horrible crisis of moral calamity that our country has supported, unfortunately, for decades. And now is the time and the moment where we have to stop that in all aid and resources that we've given to this country. And let me just say this. Israel has universal health care. We don't in the richest, powerful country in the world, but yet we're giving them billions of dollars. I think at this moment we want to see those investments coming to our country, and it isn't just Israel. I'm thinking about that we need to look at all nations that we've currently given billions of dollars to propagate war and to give more money to Boeing and Lockheed Martin. We need to have the moral clarity, but we also need to have the recognition that we need billions of dollars of investment right here in District 9 to rebuild hospitals, to fix people's homes, to feed hungry children. Israel, this is what I hear. Israel has a right to defend itself. Israel has a right to exist, and any talk of any that is similar to what you're saying is anti-Semitic.
Well, that's incorrect. And anyone who knows me knows I'm not anti-Semitic. I have not just Jewish friends, but Jewish supporters who are also against the genocide of Palestinian people. Because ultimately what we're talking about is the dignity of human life, the sanctity of human life. And you can't have people who say they're pro-life and simultaneously be willing to see people be killed and murdered for completely innocent 70,000 people. Or in Iran, before we killed over 100 school children on the first day of that war. I mean, we just need to be honest about what is happening. And there's some strange bedfellows when you have the same group of people who say, so-and-so is a Soros-backed candidate, who are also saying, well, we also have to give unfettered support to Israel. Or people forget in Charlottesville that those white supremacists were chanting, Jews will not replace us. And now those are the same people who we're supposed to believe truly care about Jewish people. Like, it's not true. And so we just have to be aware of the hypocrisy that we are seeing center the sanctity of people's lives. And that's all people's lives, Jewish people as well as Palestinian people. And we can also say we don't have a responsibility to give billions of dollars to foreign governments to kill innocent people. That is no responsibility that we have as a nation.
Representative, if I want to turn now to the Nolan Wells situation in Mississippi, the Friends of Nolan Wells have given another interview to this far right-wing content creator. I think you know who it is. This is what they're saying. There's one thing that they're saying. One of the friends said about Christine Wansley Wells, Nolan Wells, and how she responded to
blasting us on social media from the get-go, saying that he was out there with porn and another guy. That's where it first started to take off, and then also the fact that she posted a picture of me and Morgan and another guy hauling on the boat together, blasting that out there, pushing this narrative, I guess. Which actually would never happen either. I don't think those would have never happened. A lot of this stuff wouldn't have been as viral or gone all over the country at this point. I mean, this is a countrywide news story that is just not proportionate. And the fact that it was our best friend and it's not what people are saying it is what hurts the most. I mean, that was our brother. I mean, straight up. That's what I told his dad.
So you get the gist of it. He's saying that, I mean, to me, it sounds like he's saying the mom is in some part responsible for the public reaction and for them feeling that they have been mistreated or unfairly targeted. Did you get that from them? Is that what you're getting?
Yeah, I mean, Liz mother has lost her son. And these young kids don't know the level of grief and hurt and harm that has happened to her heart. And it's a lack of empathy that's coming through that. And even that statement from these kids is deeply problematic. And they shouldn't be on television at all talking about her son and what is happening. If anything, their parents to speak on their behalf, as Nolan's mom is speaking on his behalf. But the reality is that we need to see this case through, and Nolan deserves justice. And, you know, I've been fortunate and blessed to grow up with 4 brothers, and we've never, our lesson growing up was if y'all came together, y'all leave together. That's how I grew up. But it's the skating ring, the water park.
You have 3 more kids.
I think that is what.
Who are you hard carrying? I mean, I'm the thing, bro.
Obviously happened, but black people's pain oftentimes given the same amount of attention that white people's pain in this country.
You're hard carrying.
And so that socialist that he said comes off in the statement of this person and others are speaking that he doesn't have empathy for her pain because he has to talk to you.
That's one of the blocks that I forgot, but my mom used to tell me and my sister, y'all together, y'all go together, come home together. That's right. I brought you in this world. But seriously, that was drilled into us. And we were kids because we were 5 and 7 years apart. So my sisters were my babysitters sometimes. They had to take me places. They said, all right, I would just go with them because they were babysitting and my parents were working. They would say, remember, we're giving you the car. When y'all go together, you come back together.
That's right.
Yeah. So I look, I'm not saying that there's anything guilty about the kids or whatever, but this is an odd PR or public for me. I don't know how you feel about that. This is just odd.
It's very odd, and they've been coached to say these things. Obviously, their parents are smart enough to make sure that their kids know what to say when they're doing obviously these big interviews. And the fact that they're being told to blame Nolan's mom for the attention. The truth of the matter is, all this is a national community. There are a lot of Asian kids. There are a lot of young black kids who have been lost. We have no answers. And so the attention being guarded is because there is a recognition pattern of what has happened to young black people across this country. Not getting answers for their deaths, for the loss, for the grief, and the demand that this not be the same case and so his mom has done what a lot of moms have done, what Terry Nichols' mom has done, right? And Michael Brown saying, like, this is what black moms do, what they do to their children, they are hard moms, because otherwise they would not be getting the attention that they deserve. And they keep attention on that, but today people know it most.
representative. We're going to hear from someone who has his idea of what he feels and his opinion as an expert about watching that interview and how he feels things are going and what's going on and what is happening here, okay? But first, I'm going to get a word in from our sponsors. You can hear from the interview, you can hear from this gentleman as well.
America has a lot of religions and a lot of people who are not religious at all. So whose beliefs should the government follow? Well, none of it. That's the entire point. We're seeing growing efforts to blur the line between religion and government in public schools, federal policy, and public life. But once government starts choosing a religion or choosing religion over non-religion, somebody's freedom is going to lose. America recently celebrated 250 years since declaring independence from kings and divine rule, and religious freedom has always included two rights: the right to believe and the right not to believe. That's why the Freedom from Religion Foundation works to keep state and church separate. FFRF stands up for free thinkers, atheists, agnostics, humanists, religious minorities, and anybody who believes government should answer to the people, not to the church. Visit ffrf.us/Don or text Don 511-511 to join or find out more. That's Don 511-511 because the First Amendment belongs to everybody. So everybody's talking about weight loss injections, and that's great for people who want.
So we are back. I'm texting someone. I'm texting the guest we have. So anyways, welcome back everyone, and thank you to our sponsors. They do keep us powered, and they keep us on the air, and they keep us being able to afford to be able to do this, and to be able to bring you what we need. So I want to discuss this interview, and I want to discuss what's happening. Look, I'm going to be just very blunt here. We're going to continue to follow this story, okay? We're going to continue to ask questions. We're going to continue to do fair analysis on what's happening, because that is what we do here at the Don Lemon Show. We have a commitment to that, and we would not be doing the public, nor the family, nor even the teens a service if we were doing. We'd be doing them a disservice if we didn't do that. Okay, so I watched more of that interview with Nolan Bell's friends, and I think there are several things deserve a bit of talking through here. Okay, a bit of scrutiny. Their lawyer says that there is a 0% chance that these young men did anything wrong, right? Not 90%, not 99%, zero. Okay, he's the attorney, right? And most people would say, hey, I'm innocent.
I've already killed 30 people.
Could have unalived Nolan on Horn Island that day because the island was so crowded and exposed. And then he says two witnesses who knew Nolan saw him alive around 5:50 that afternoon, about an hour and a half after Warren Jackson and Morgan had already left. And if that is indeed true, then that means that they were there. And that there was, and possibly had nothing to do with his demise. But anyway, that information we don't know for sure yet. If that is solid evidence, I think that matters enormously. So, who are the witnesses? Have investigators interviewed them? What exactly did they see? Where was Nolan? Was he alone? What corroborates the time? Now, the Cajun Navy gave us an analysis of their timeline of what they believe happened, and we played it here on the air. This is what they said. Now, there's this other thing about a fight that I'll get to that seems new, but may not be new, but is kind of flimsy, but we'll see. Now, the lawyer put that claim out publicly, and he is using it to declare his clients completely innocent. So, for the basis of it, I don't think that that's unreasonable, right? And to talk about it, I don't think it's unreasonable as well. He opened that door. Then there is all this talk about harassment. The young men say that their lives have been turned upside down. They say that they are afraid to go out. They talk about threats online and being recognized in public. I know a lot about all of that. About threats online, unless it's a direct threat, person won't do anything about it. I know that from experience. Unless it's direct and obvious, they're not going to do it. Now, I do not doubt that people have said ugly things online and have done ugly things online because it is the internet and it is awful. And I've seen it, right? I have seen enough of this case to know that some people have gone way too far in the internet, the bowels of the internet. But when they were asked in the interview to give specifics, we're going to play for you specific examples of what had actually happened to them in public. The examples got a little fuzzy. Now, look, I don't know who's advising them. As I said yesterday, in my opinion and my experience doing this, they're not getting good advice. Now, if they look, hey guys, it's easy. You know, you get to me, it's easy. My information's out there. You need a good crisis PR person. I can give you of a good crisis PR person who will either tell you what to say and not to say, or just advise you most of the time to STL. Because as many people as there are in the world, that's how many opinions there are. And you're going to hear all of them. And then also describing being recognized in public and people asking you about something you said or did or appeared in is not harassment. That's called a person business. And people are able to say, hey, are you the guy from the thing? And if you say this, you have every right to walk away. I'm not thinking there's I'm not interested in that. And keep going. Your face and start pushing a phone and a camera in your face and all that. That's a whole different thing. Invading your personal space, that's a whole different thing. But someone's saying, man, are you the guy that why would you say something like that? Just say that. You can say, I'm not interested in something. What is it that some woman recognizing on camera in a restaurant? So we had the earlier interview. This earlier interview. They left. And according to them, some friends who stayed behind were allegedly threatened. Okay? Some friends who stayed behind were allegedly threatened. So we're specifically asking about the interview who said that they had been harassed. Another example involved a friend named Tristan, supposedly being denied a Gatorade and a Red Bull at a store. Now, Tristan is one of their African American friends. And they're describing with allegedly being harassed or whatever. That may be harassment. It may be ugly behavior, but it's not the same thing as the three men sitting there describing repeated direct attacks against themselves. And when the interviewer kept asking for concrete examples, I kept waiting for one involving them directly. Now, that does not mean that threats have not happened. But they're in an interview and they're answering questions. They also said that they have received death threats online. And I don't doubt that they have. I don't know. When they were asked for specific examples of knowing themselves, much of what they described I'm literally going around. This means really especially because they have hired the definition. That is supposed to be one of the main reasons that this Edward policy is now evolved. And then in this portion of the interview, personally, you can tell me because you're going to hear it. I hear them identify a specific allegedly defamatory statement and explain this person said this about us. It is false, and here is why. Instead, the lawyer talks broadly about lies, liars, hustlers, and profiteers. He says that people should retract what they have said before they get hauled into court. Okay. What exactly is false? Well, here's the thing. Disinformation is not simply people saying things that you do not like. It is not people asking questions you find uncomfortable. And it is not a third-degree theory surrounding events that never made unexplained. If somebody falsely stated as fact that he's been on a line door, that is serious. That is slanderous. That is speculation. If there are specific statements they believe are defamatory, tell us what they are and so much more like an effort to intimidate critics than a specific legal claim, or to intimidate the press without a specific legal claim. And there is another piece of the interview that really stood out to me. One of the young men blamed Nolan's mother, as we saying, for, as I just spoke about with Justin Pearson, for helping this story take off because she posted that her son had been with her. Her son was missing. Her son was found dead. Of course she was talking about her. He had been with her. I'm not going to make any other responsible for the scrutiny that followed his son's unexplained death. That's backward. Now, none of this proves that some men did anything to know at all about this. No one is saying that, but to scrutinize an interview and the answers that they gave, that's fair game. This is America. There has been no target here. There has been no arrest. We still don't know how Nolan Wells died. What is... That's exactly why I am not comfortable with a lawyer sitting in an interview to claim that there is 0% chance his clients did anything wrong and that unaliving was impossible because we don't know any of that. The official investigation, we don't know. And you're free to say that, but I'm like, okay, then if you say that, people are going to say, what is the evidence for that? That's how this works. The official investigation has not told us that. The medical evidence has not publicly told us that. A grand jury has not told us that. That may indeed be the case. But a court has not told us that yet. A lawyer has told us that. And he has been involved in the case for a very short time. So yes, I want to hear the evidence that he says clears them. I want to hear more about these witnesses that he says saw Nolan alive at 5:15. I want to know whether investigators have interviewed them and verified that account. I want to know